Man, Weird Al was way ahead of the time. He was rocking the hipster glasses and the awkward mustache way before it was cool. Back in 1989, Weird Al was the king of parody music, and he's kept that title until today. So they thought, let's give him a chance doing a movie and come up with a plot where he can take his skills of parody and satire, put it in movie form. So the plot they come up with, he's put in charge of a local TV station, and thus he's given the opportunity for him to create a bunch of TV shows that are parodies of other TV shows, and crazy hijinks ensue. So what makes this movie so interesting is it would never get made today for a number of reasons, but the primary one is the nature of the film is that they wanted to find a way and do a video format of Weird Al's humor. So if you were to do that today, you would put him on YouTube. And this movie itself is just a plot that exists for the sole purpose of having moments where he can make a little skit video. And so it makes for a very interesting movie in that it's an enjoyable experience, it's funny, but as for a film, it feels very bizarre and out of place and out of time. But it's a movie that feels so unique to an exact moment in time, and one that I don't know that most people under the age of 30 will even understand. Even the title of it, UHF, is referencing the way TVs worked at the time in a way that I barely understand, and I had a TV that had UHF channels when I was growing up. So what's good about this movie? Right off the bat, Weird Al, he's a funny guy. He's a very entertaining person that can find a little joke in each moment. And so watching his little quirks, watching his facial expressions, his reactions to things, he's a funny guy. Along those same lines, the cast of this, the supporting cast, is really good, and it's almost like a bit surreal to watch who's in this because it's Michael Richards right before he became famous for being Kramer on Seinfeld, and Fran Drescher right before she got her role on The Nanny. And so you're watching these people that within a couple years after this become television stars, and they're in a movie that was kind of like, B-grade comedy of that year. And one of the things that makes this movie so entertaining is that it has a non-stop pace of jokes. There's just throwing joke after joke after joke, setup after setup. Something funny happens in the background. There's always something going on that's meant to make you laugh. And even like in the parody bits, there's something off in the background that you'll miss it the first time you watch it. And so the movie works on reviewings because you catch different things. And as you experience more of culture, as you understand better what they're parodying, the movie gets funnier and funnier and funnier. So rewatching this movie last night, I just realized just how many memorable, quotable moments are just throughout this entire movie. There's so many things about Wheel of Fish, about "you're so stupid," or "today we're teaching poodles how to fly." There's so many things throughout it that are just so memorable. That's the next thing I really liked about this movie is some of the funniest pieces about it that have stood the test of time best have nothing to do with the parodies. It's just there's some really funny bits in it. And funny skits and like little one-off characters in it. There's like a guy that cuts his finger off, and it's like the funniest thing in the movie, and it's just this little kind of throwaway moment that happens that's really funny. And that's what makes this movie work, is there's so much humor crammed throughout the entire thing. So as for the bad, I don't even know how you necessarily criticize this movie in the typical ways that you criticize a movie, because the inherent nature of it is that it exists just to showcase the humor. But to that point, you have to be honest about it. And so Weird Al is not a great actor. Great entertainer, but not a great actor. So when he's throwing a joke, it's funny. When he's just trying to act and have dialogue, and there's some moments that are at least trying to play serious, there's a bit of emotional tension being built, and he's not a good enough actor to carry those moments. And so then sometimes it's just a little bit awkward. And while I've said there's a non-stop stream of jokes throughout the movie, that's part of the problem with the movie as well, because they throw jokes constantly. Whether they're good or bad, they throw you a joke constantly. So if someone is handed a gift, they put the box down on the table and you hear broken glass like they smashed it onto the desk. But it didn't seem like that was a joke written in the movie early on. It seemed like in post-production they just added the sound of broken glass. And so everywhere you go, there's always has to be a joke. And so like a woman shows up at the end and kicks a guy in the balls, and so it's supposed to be like, man, he's the bad guy, you got racked, it's hilarious, right? And they just do a lot of that in the movie. When they don't have a good joke, they have a joke to fill the time. As I said before, the plot in this movie exists only for the purpose to be able to do all these skits, parodies, and all the other things that it exists to do. And so to that, it's incoherent. It doesn't make any sense. And so I was watching this with two 11-year-olds and a 9-year-old, and during this movie, they're going, why is the bad guy doing that? Why did they kidnap him? Why did this happen? Why don't they do this? And they're just watching a silly movie. They know they're watching a silly, stupid movie, but even they're sophisticated and paying attention enough to be like, that doesn't make any sense. And so if you're bothered by that stuff at all, this movie literally will drive you nuts all the time. Now, where this one gets weird and interesting is I'm wondering how much of this movie makes no sense to people under the age of 30. This movie is jam-packed with references to movies, references to scenes in movies, references to talk shows from the 80s, that you're just watching it. And if you didn't watch those shows growing up, if you haven't seen those movies, you're just kind of like, why is he staring at his potatoes right now? What's the joke? Why is the music smelling in this moment? Like, why is he screaming as he's flying the helicopter? I mean, it's funny because it's goofy, but you don't know that it's a direct reference to Rambo First Blood Part 2. And this movie is jam-packed every few minutes with a reference that the joke is tied specifically to something that I just don't know that certain people will have seen at this point in time in history. So this is a fun movie. It's a funny movie, but it's only fun and funny for a certain crowd of people. So if you like Weird Al, if you like silly comedy, if you like parodies, this is a movie you'll probably enjoy. However, if you don't like silly slapstick humor, if you're annoyed by in-jokes and parodies that you don't get the reference, don't see this movie. You're not going to like it. It's made for a very specific group of people that love it, and everyone else probably looks at it and goes, that's a terrible movie that's just stupid. But for me, I'm on the side that likes it, and I've seen it probably 30, 40, 50 times. I have no idea. I was watching it with my sister, brother-in-law, and their kids, and like we were all kind of quoting along with the whole movie because that's the way we are. Speaking of Weird Al and Funny or Die, they did a really funny skit several years back where they had Aaron Paul playing Weird Al, and it was about all of his weird addictions and all of his issues and stuff. Super funny. Check it out. Faux documentary trailer deal. I'll put a link in the notes down below. With that, thank you for watching this video. Have you seen UHF? What do you think about it? Were you able to follow all the references in it? If you grew up watching it, have you watched it again more recently and been able to realize just how dated it is? With that, if you're new to this video and you like the sound of my voice, click that subscribe button and you'll get to hear plenty of my voice as I ramble about all kinds of things. Thank you guys for watching and tune in next time.